Hello, we are in chapter 14, looking at exercise 14.3, sentence 1. Ted declared that his neighborhood had been invaded by wealthy outsiders from Philadelphia. So we have something like indirect reporting. We have a that complementizer, which is external, which means that it plays no grammatical function within the subordinate clause. So let's see what we can do with this. We'll start, as usual, by selecting the entire sentence. It will be an S node, and this is, as always, a declaration. Ted is the NP subject. So we'll make him an NP, and we'll also make him a noun. And that means he will be the subject for the noun and the subject for the NP. Declared that and everything afterwards is a predicate phrase. So we have that in place. Declared is the verb phrase. Lexical verb, no auxiliaries. So that, let's make it plural, that should be the predicate. And now we have that. Declared what? Declared that his neighborhood had been invaded by wealthy outsiders from Philadelphia. Well, the that clause is a very large noun phrase. So, because declared what, declared X, it's a noun phrase. So it goes like this. Now that noun phrase contains then the complementizer, that, and the rest of the noun clause, which is a clause, and that's what chapter 14 is about, noun clauses. So we're going to have CZR to indicate complementizer. And that is the direct object, because the whole noun clause is a direct object, and the that is the head of the noun clause. Now his neighborhood has been invaded by wealthy outsiders from Philadelphia. That is a clause in of itself, and what do we make clauses but S's? Okay? So that's what a noun clause means, that you in fact have an S behind NP. Now his neighborhood is an NP, which is the subject of this clause. So it goes like this. And then his is going to be some kind of possessive determiner. I forget exactly what we do, but I think it's certainly a determiner. I make it an article. His neighborhood is a noun, and that is the subject of this phrase, and his neighborhood is the subject of the internal clause. Now, had been invaded by wealthy outsiders from Philadelphia happens to be a predicate phrase. And then had been invaded, we know that involves a passive. So we're going to have had, which is an aux, and it is the perfect. It happens to be the past perfect. The bin here is the passive. Okay, it's not the progressive, but it's the passive. So it's another aux. It's going to be the passive aux. Invaded then is the main lexical verb. Okay, and actually we should have made this all a verb phrase. So let's see if we can still do this. Create a node like that, and it's a verb phrase. Okay, and this is perfect here as well. I think we have to delete one. Yeah, that's right. So faded is the predicate. Okay, and then by wealthy outsiders, I think we're going to just leave this a triangle because it's not really anything new that we haven't seen before. It's going to be a prepositional phrase as a form, but it's going to be a agentive, because we've seen before if you have an agent of the passive, it's called an agentive. And then here is the predicate that functions in line with the predicate phrase. Here is the had been invaded. Okay. His neighborhood had been invaded. That's going to be the predicate. 2. So had been invaded by wealthy outsiders from Philadelphia is a predicate, and the head of that is had been invaded, and the head of that is invaded. Okay? And now we have the S clause. And the S clause is that his neighborhood had been invaded. Okay? And so the S clause is going to be the complement of that. It's the complement of the direct object. Okay, if you think about it, it's the complement of that because it completes that. Okay, it completes the that idea. It's the whole sentence. And now we get up here, and now we have declared that. Okay, and that's going to be the predicate. Actually, we have too many things here, so when you get a situation like that, you just have to unclick everything in order to figure out where you are again. And this guy is not this predicate phrase, but this noun phrase here, as you can see. Okay, so declared what? That is neighborhood, and we know that that is the direct object. Okay. And now we come down here, and of course up here it's the whole predicate for the sentence. If this is difficult, it's something to practice. I think we're done, so I think you should just play this video over to see, but this is more challenging. I think the hard thing to understand is that is the direct object. That his neighborhood had been invaded by wealthy outsiders from Philadelphia is also the direct object. So that is the head of the direct object. And that his neighborhood had been invaded by wealthy outsiders from Philadelphia is called the complement of that. It's the complement of the direct object. Okay, I think we're done.